Godzilla. What's up, my friends? Welcome. Let's do a little first look here at Ikoria, the new set from Wizards of the Coast, and probably one of the more, we'll say, shocking sets in a while, as far as the initial impression. And so we're going to go over my first impressions of a set, because that's what we do. And the first one, the biggest one, is this guy right here. And when everyone saw this card, they freaked out. Oh my god, why is Godzilla on a Magic card? What is going on? Magic's jumped the shark. The world is ending. This is the stupidest thing ever. This is the coolest thing ever. Reactions running the gamut here. And let's start with these cards first. So, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, is not in Ikoria. Okay? I think the way they've done this is actually just completely brilliant. This card is not called Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This card is called Zalortha, Strength Incarnate. Okay? And these things you see right here are just the sort of like fancy, full art, whatever collector booster, mumbo jumbo versions of these cards. And I think this is an absolutely brilliant way to do a sort of crossover branding like this without screwing up your main IP, right? Because an IP means intellectual property. So Magic's been Magic for 25 years, right? You know, Magic's never had, Iron Man or D&D characters or whatever in the lore because Magic has its own lore. And whenever Magic does a set that is, based in other ideas, say it's Greek mythology with Theros, or it's fairy tale stuff with Eldraine, or it's other fairy tale stuff with Lorwyn, or whatever it is, whenever they kind of take an idea and kind of pull from different, aspects of fantasy or other IPs, they always do it their way, So instead of getting Peter Pan, we get, Peter Pan. Instead of getting Robin Hood, we get Robber of the Rich, right? And things like that. So, and I think it's really cool. I think it's fun to do a twist on things. So, at first, seeing a literal Godzilla Magic card is very jarring until you realize that this set is just based around the sort of kaiju monster ideas of Godzilla, like most Magic sets, but they did a really cool crossover here by making the very rare promo versions of these cards into versions of actual characters in a different IP. So I agree that if I'd open a booster pack and my rare was Godzilla King of the Monsters and that was just the name of the card, and we were just like, here's Godzilla on this Magic, it's like real Magic card, it's kind of jarring. I don't really like Godzilla. I don't really care about Godzilla. It has no visceral link to me. If it was like a Star Wars stuff or MCU stuff or something like that I cared more about, Star Trek, whatever, maybe I'd be a little more interested. But even at the same time, I don't like that the crossovers, I want to see Magic be Magic, not something else necessarily. But doing it like this, where it's kind of a fun crossover, it's kind of a cool idea, it's kind of a, we know that Zathor or whatever, Strength Incarnate, is kind of a homage to the idea of Godzilla, but not really. And then we also can have these cool promo things that are also actually Godzilla for people who like Godzilla. I think it's really cool. That's my opinion. Definitely a unique and interesting way to do a crossover without being ham-fisted into your set. So if you're not really about it, if you're not really into Godzilla or into the thing, you're not forced to play with the card Godzilla King of the Monsters. So I think this is a brilliant way to do a crossover. I think it's really cool. On that note, I don't care about it. I don't care about alternate art cards. I don't like collector boosters. I don't like Godzilla. So none of this is for me at all. But one of the most important things about things like this, set design, Magic design, so not everything has to be for you. And if it's not for you, just shut up. Let someone else enjoy it for the most part. It's not getting in the way of your experience. Leave it alone. So that's my thoughts on the most jarring part of this. Let's go through the actual cards and discuss the mechanics a little bit. This is the Mythic spoiler so far. My preview article goes up in about an hour on CoolStuffInc.com. And it's a pretty good preview card. I'll give you a little bit on it. It's a 2-mana Mythic that is a combination of two old modern staples. So that's going to be your little preview for that. And you'll see that on Cool Stuff, I think, on the stream an hour from now. We'll load that. Obviously not for this preview. So let's see what we got here, right? We got the merge mechanic. Mutate. This one's kind of weird. So the mutate mechanic is effectively, let me make this bigger. Make it bigger. Mutate mechanic is effectively, you pay a cost. Ooh, hello. I think these are pretty cool too. Also, you pay a cost. I'm not even sure how this works exactly. Honestly, it's a very complicated mechanic. You pay the cost, and you put this creature in play either under or on top of a creature, and whatever the creature on top is like the base creature with the power and toughness and the base abilities, and you add on all the other abilities. So for this example, you would get trample if you mutate this something. It's honestly pretty complicated. I'm sure it won't be that bad when it's actually in play. It's one of those things where once you play with it, it probably makes sense. But yeah, it's kind of like bestow. It's kind of like it's just weird, basically. So this is the kind of thing where like we're going to need to see this played out, I think, because it's just going to be one of those things that's hard to parse by just looking at it. So yeah. Lee, thanks for the resub. Appreciate that. Also, we had Union and Corvid based with resubs. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. I don't know how it works. I don't think that it's like bestow where the thing falls off. So if you kill one of the creatures, I think it's just all one creature just dies. But yeah, it's a pretty weird mechanic, and I think it's probably not going to be super impactful and constructed unless these cards are like really, really, really pushed. Because it requires like a creature in play. It requires you to have another thing and a bunch of mana, sorcery speed. So definitely interesting, kind of weird. So a lot of mutate cards. All of the big mythics in the set are mutate cards. They're also 3-color cards, which is pretty crazy. I probably should have watched that WotC video before I did this video, but what are you going to do, We have some new Planeswalkers here. Vivian's Monsters Advocate, which seems honestly kind of busted. This card just seems really, really good. It's sort of like an experimental frenzy plus green Planeswalker that makes 3/3s. This card seems really, really, really good. Defends itself pretty well. It goes to 4, which is not a lot, but it's a reasonable amount. If you get to untap with it, it feels like it's going to be pretty sick. It's funny in some ways how it's almost more durable than a creature. Like Vizier of... God, what was it called? The Menagerie. The 3/4 creature from Mythic from Alencat. It's a very similar effect to this. It's actually the exact same effect. Never really saw much play because it was kind of vulnerable. It would die to Glorybringer or Chandra or just get killed before you could use it. But untap with Vivian seems pretty reasonable. But pretty powerful card. Also, the third ability is if you cast the next creature spell this turn, switch your library for a creature with lesser mana cost, put it on the battlefield. So pretty powerful effect here. You cast a 5-drop, get a 4-drop. So kind of just power all around here. The static ability is very powerful. Making a 3/3 every turn is already pretty powerful. And then the -2 ability is also very powerful. So this feels like one of the most powerful cards in the set. Just seems insanely good. Just seems really, really good. Right, cast a 5-drop, a Questing Beast. It's a lot, and it's only a -2, so it can be used, a number of times. Cast Wholesomer, get Knife Back Ambusher, sure. These are all great. So definitely, this feels like a very, very powerful Planeswalker. It costs 5 at least, and it doesn't at least it's not like a Nissa who shakes the world, where once you get to untap, you cast Krasis for 15 and the game just ends. So seems like it's not necessarily as swingy as a card like that, but it seems very, very powerful. Vivian can fetch Heliod off Ballista. That's pretty wild, yeah. So that's a really good one. The other Planeswalker is not as exciting. In Luca Coppercoat Outcast. +1 exile the top 3. You can play them from exile as long as you control Luca, which is pretty good. But exile creature you control, so it polymorphs as well. Creature with a higher mana cost. That's kind of sweet. Kind of a weird card. Definitely both abilities on both Planeswalkers involving creatures getting bigger and things like that are pretty cool. Pretty powerful too. This card seems busted in older formats. Like if you're like polymorphing or just say you just play this in a deck with all 3-drops and Emrakul. So you have like Kitchen Finks or whatever, and you just like kill your Kitchen Finks. All of your things cost 3, so you have to get Emrakul. Pretty wild card, honestly. And then the ultimate's kind of whatever, but it is 5 mana. It doesn't affect the board immediately, always. So kind of a cool card though. Kind of a cool card. Orcish Lumberjack, cast this on turn 2, and then get Emrakul. That is pretty gas. That is pretty gas. So that's pretty cool. Oops. Oh my god, what is going on here? So both Planeswalkers are pretty cool. We have a new mechanic here in Companion. It's funny, I made fun of Ali for this card, Ali Antrazi. This is basically Ali's invitational card because Ali only plays creatures, only plays decks with cards that cost 3 or more anyway. So this one's gotten a lot of press, this ability, Companion. So sort of like Commander-esque, where this card, so for Companion to work, Companion is a deck building restriction, and you have this card off to the side. It's in your sideboard technically, but similar to this and similar to Commander basically, where you have the card off to the side, you can cast it from exile. It's sort of like in your opening hand, and you have some sort of deck building restriction. So Companion, your starting deck contains only cards that mana cost 3 or greater and lands. So if you meet that deck building requirement, this card is in your sideboard, but you start the game with it in exile face up, just like Commander, and then it's just kind of there until you cast it. It's not like Commander where it like goes back to the command zone or anything like that. It's there, you cast it, that's it. Now it's part of the game. If it dies, it goes to the graveyard. They bounce it, it goes back to your hand, and so on and so forth. Everyone's all up in arms about these cards. Oh my god, they're trying to make my standard like a no Commander. I don't like Commander. This is so stupid. These cards are pretty hokey. They seem pretty fun. They seem like they're mostly not going to be super playable. I doubt they want, this to be a major thing in Standard or Constructed. It's cool. It's really not that big of a deal. People are like, how are people going to cheat? How can I know what's in their deck? Everyone needs to take a deep breath. So it's it reminds me honestly a bit of the deck building challenges I used to do on my stream, which I'll be doing at some point in the hopefully near future, where you just have this like weird deck building restriction and you have to build around it. I didn't get paid off for that in doing my stream, but this gives you a payout for it. You get to have this 8th card in your hand for free. So definitely, I think this mechanic's pretty cool. It is pretty different. VTM says in chat, I get the feeling this set may make a lot of people fall in love with Magic, but also may make a lot of people stop playing. This is definitely a bold set. This is the kind of set where they're doing things that are whoa, and Magic players are very adverse to whoa because they're just scared of change, and every little change that happens, they freak out and go bananas. Oh my god, you're changing the card face. Oh my god, damage off a stack. Magic is dying. Wah. That's the common reaction basically every spoiler season ever. But most of the time the changes are just fine, and people just kind of freak out. So having these sort of freak out cards and freak out mechanics is kind of cool because it shows that Magic can keep evolving. Once he killed Magic, oh my god! But so kind of an interesting ability. I doubt it's gonna see much play in Constructed. I think it seems honestly more like a fun thing, and be fun to play, build decks around, fun to do on stream, fun to do, just kind of fun. Just kind of just kind of a cool thing. If it works, it's kind of cool. I think the card, where is it? The one that it's only even mana cost is actually quite good. Where is it? It's one of the Cashew monsters, right? It's like a Demir card. I just like gloss over it. It's like not on here? Or is it only in Cashew form? This one. Gaidula Doom of Depths. This one's pretty freaking cool. 6 mana, legendary creature. Companion, your deck can only have cards with even mana cost in your deck. When it comes into play, each player mills 4. Then you put a creature card with an even converted mana cost from among those cards onto the battlefield under your control. So pretty cool. Thassa, just like a cool card. And again, like, is this card going to break standard in half? Like, probably not, but is it sweet? Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Also, you can just like put it in your deck and play it, for sure. You don't have to do the companion thing. So, definitely super sweet. That's pretty cool. Also, side note, how unlucky is WotC that they put a card in their deck or in their set called, oh wait, you can't, it's showing me the regular card, called Space Godzilla Death Corona. And we live in the world we currently live in. How unlucky is that? You know? What a bad beat for WotC. This card was obviously printed and designed like, you know, a year ago, and the coronavirus wasn't a thing. So they're actually like changing the name of the card. There was a press release concerning Space Godzilla or whatever, which is just like hilarious. But yeah, the press release is pretty funny. Someone wants to link that, I'll show it. But yeah, just pretty funny. But so yeah, so that's that mechanic. I think the mechanic's pretty cool. A lot of giant monsters, a lot of big things here. There's also the ability counters, which is kind of interesting. So this one is, I don't love this one because I'm a little concerned about just like complexity creep on the battlefield. Basically, there's going to be new counters where it says it's a flying counter or a hexproof counter or whatever. So you actually put the counter on the card, and that creature has the ability for good. Seems a little bit like an in-paper nightmare. Seems very good for Arena, but I don't know. Logistically, like ability-wise, it seems cool. Logistically, I mean, whatever. Take a piece of paper, write flying on it. Sure, some intrepid company will make a dice that has flying on one side and menace on one side, and so on and so forth. Just fine. It's not really that big of a deal. You know, it's just it's whatever. It's cool. This card's pretty cool too. Luminous Brood Moth. But yeah, so I'll be doing a full set review of the set when it's fully spoiled, like I did last time for Theros Beyond Death. Just want to do a quick overview. Definitely oh god, this card's so cool. Sprite Dragon. This card's gonna get me like every blue-red prowessy card always gets me. This is gonna get me so good. This one actually looks good though. Maybe I'm wrong, but it actually looks good. Fairy Dragon, it's pretty sweet. But yes, I'll be doing my full set review as I always do. I'll be doing some writing about this set on CoolStuffInc.com, of course. Again, my preview is today, a mixture of 2 old modern staples. One that's currently banned and one that is currently legal. It's really, really cool. And yeah, so definitely some jarring things here. Definitely a lot of grumpy, I don't like change people, you know. But it's the kind of thing where once the set comes out, you'll be used to it. And looks pretty cool. Definitely some cool cards here. Definitely a big shakeup here. Definitely a big shakeup. This is not a quiet set. This is not a Ravnica Allegiance. Just gonna make some cards and make some dual lands and do this thing. This is a whoa set, and obviously whoa sets have the ability to flop or hit really hard, but looks pretty sweet. So that's the initial preview. Again, look for my full set review here on YouTube and on Twitch. Again, look for my article on CoolStuffInc.com in about 45 minutes. My preview card, and we'll be looking at more previews as the set goes on. King Kong. All right, folks. Sweet. YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe.